My name is Sharon Ricks, and I am a member of the Bronx Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Welcome to Delta Days in the Bronx. Our topic today is Alzheimer's disease. I am pleased to introduce Wan Ling Hung, Associate Director of Community Engagement and Education for Alzheimer's Disease Association, New York City chapter. Wan Ling was trained as a registered nurse in Taiwan and as a nutritionist here in the United States. She has worked in nonprofit organizations for 30 years to improve the quality of life of families facing chronic disease and health issues. Her current role is outreach representative, educator, presenter, advocate, and consultant at the Alzheimer's Association New York City chapter. Before coming to the Alzheimer's Association, she worked at the American Cancer Society and for the Food Supplement Program for Women, Infants, and Children, WIC, in Philadelphia. Wan Ling speaks Chinese Mandarin and Taiwanese. Welcome, Wan Ling. We will now spend the next 30 minutes or so discussing Alzheimer's disease. So my first question to you is, so if you can tell us, what is the difference between Alzheimer's disease and dementia?
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for inviting me to be here. Dementia, there are many causes of dementia, and there are different types of dementia other than Alzheimer's. So for example, Parkinson's, stroke, vascular dementia, including Alzheimer's disease. Each type has different cause and symptoms. So dementia is a general term for a collection of symptoms that are severe enough to interfere with daily life. However, about 60 to 80% of all dementia caused are really by Alzheimer's disease. So you asked a very good question. Let's talk about another question is, what is Alzheimer's? Alzheimer's is a brain disease, and Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia. And this disease is not a normal part of aging. It's a progressive brain disease. Overall, a diagnosis of dementia and Alzheimer's really require further testing to identify this particular disease or condition cause the symptoms. It is important to seek an accurate and earlier diagnosis. Thank you for asking this wonderful question.
Thank you. So for my next question, can you share with us a bit about what are the early signs of Alzheimer's disease?
That's another great question, Sharon. Remember, no two individuals experience the symptoms and progressive of Alzheimer's disease in the same way. So I would like to pick, actually we have 5 warning signs. I'm gonna just identify maybe most of the 5 signs. So first signs, for example, memory loss that disrupt daily life. So one of the most common signs of Alzheimer's, especially earlier on, is forgetting recently learned information. Other include forgetting important dates or events, repeatedly asking the same questions, and increasingly relying on memory aids on others for things or takes one handful on their own way. A typical age-related change is sometimes forget information, but remembers later. I will identify another example. Number 2 is challenging in planning or solving problems. So some people may experience new difficulties in, a different function, including developing or following a plan, or difficulty even concentrating. Definitely a normal type of age-related change is making occasionally errors when managing bills or household financial. Number 3, difficulty completing familiar tasks is very common. People may ask, people living with a dementia often find it hard to complete daily tasks. That used to be, manageable well with very easy step, such as driving to a familiar place, writing a grocery list, or, how to play their favorite games. So what are we talking about? A typical age-related change would be occasionally need help, use a microwave or remote. This could also include having trouble with a new technology that the person hasn't had the opportunity to engage with, in the past. Number 4, new problems with a word in speaking or writing. So some people might experience have a trouble following or joining a conversation. Suddenly stop in the middle of the conversation and forget what they were talking about, or repeating themselves. That's a very common. They might also struggle with finding the right word or calling things by the wrong name. A normal age-related change, however, would be sometimes occasionally have trouble finding the right word. The last one I want to mention, give you an example, is the misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps. These signs often cause concern in people. I want to clarify that this is not about just losing your keys sometimes, misplacing things from time to time, but retracing steps to find them is a normal age-related change. A person with Alzheimer's, for example, may lose things and not be able to recall when it was last seen or identify the location where it was placed. Or he or she may put things in a very unusual place, such as putting shoes in the refrigerators or house keys in the freezer. Because of lack of dysfunction and awareness, the person may grow increasingly suspicious of others, and you may heard a lot like starting accusing others of stealing, and do some more frequently over time. It is a key that we pay attention to what's going on with our own cognitive health and not diminish many changes that we may be experiencing as a normal agent, and as well as that of other around us. Any change that unusual for your level of function is a cause of concern. Many times friends and family are the first one to notice changes in someone's memory, behavior, or other abilities. Sorry, it took a long time to explain about the signs. Actually, we have 10 warning signs, but this is just a 5 out of 10 warning signs. Sorry, Sharon. Thanks.
No, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's extremely important for us to know. Another question, can you talk about the difference for people who are diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease?
Sure. Living in the earliest stage of the disease and diagnosis before 65 years old, we call that early onset Alzheimer's. Symptoms worsen over time for everyone. However, people progress through stages of Alzheimer's at a different rate. Everybody is different, as their abilities change. On average, a person with Alzheimer's living 4 to 8 years after diagnosis, but can live as long as 20 years, depends on other factors. So can you imagine diagnosis before 65 years old? That could be caused a very huge challenges since the person's not even reached to the retirement age. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Two kind of follow-up questions for you. My first one is, what are the stages of the disease?
Okay, that's another very good question. The progressive Alzheimer's disease found brain changes that are really not unnoticeable to the person. The brain changes that cause problem with the memory and eventually physical disability is, called Alzheimer's disease continue. So we actually normally separate 3 stages. The 3 stages including earlier stage, middle stage, and late stage. As Alzheimer's progress, the individual behaviors will change, as does the role of caregivers. 3 stages can help caregivers prepare for what to expect and understand how to respond. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very important. Another question is, can you talk a bit about what do we know about the causes of the disease?
Right. Alzheimer's disease involved, nerve cells unable to communicate with each cells. So that cause we really uncertain. We don't know. However, research has identified risk factors that increase the likelihood of developing the Alzheimer's. So number 1, age. Age is the greatest known risk factor for Alzheimer's. An individual risk for developing the disease increased at age 65. Another one is a family history. Family history is a known risk factor. Having a parent or sibling with a disease increase an individual risk. 2 types of the genes are associated with Alzheimer's, including risk genes and determinase genes. We also identify Hispanic, African Americans, and women are at increased risk for developing Alzheimer's. And again, people will say, hey, I still don't quite understand what caused Alzheimer's. So I can say in this very short version, what is the science know Alzheimer's disease involves progressive brain cells failure. The reason cells fail isn't really clear, like other chronic disease or conditions. Experts believe that Alzheimer's develop as a complex result of multiple factors rather than any one overriding cause. I hope this explained it to you about this question. Thank you, Sharon.
Yes, thank you, Wan Ling. Yes, because I had a follow-up question, but you touched on it because I had read somewhere that there is some people say that it's hereditary or may be hereditary, but you touched on that. So that's great. Thank you. Can you share with us a bit about any promising cures or possible ways to prevent the disease?
That's another very challenging question. Until now, the only treatment available help with some, cognitive symptoms of Alzheimer's. However, they do not modify or slow the disease. There's no medication can really cure or slow down the disease. Okay, I really want to emphasize if you do have a situation, try to reach out to your physicians and then maybe do a very good exam so that you can really prepare earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, this is all great information. So for those who are diagnosed with the disease, what can be done to maybe slow down the decline? What about lifestyle changes? What would help there?
Right, as I indicate, there's nothing you can slow down this disease because everyone experiences Alzheimer's differently. This treatment works in varying degrees and are not effective for everyone. Most of the treatment is really treat the symptoms, not the disease. So lifestyle is very important too. So we really want to take a holistic approach to wellness as your age. Consider your health across many components, including the physical, the social, spiritual, emotional, and different areas to focus your own lifestyle. You can make simple change that will have a really impact to your life, helping you live as well as possible. Okay, when you change your lifestyle, doesn't mean you're not gonna get Alzheimer's disease or dementia, but this is a probably you should starting today. It's never too late or too early to stop living in a more healthy way. For example, take your change step by step. The more you enjoy the activities you choose, the more likely it is that you will follow up on your plan. Don't run around for 30 minutes and then you're out of your, energy the next day. You're not gonna go out to run again. Make a healthy choices. Exercise is the best things can really improve our quality of life. Of course, eat a nutritious diet, reduce stress as much as possible. We all want to make a plan. Use your workbook or document your plan. Keep track of your progress as well as obstacles that may hold you back and ways to overcome them. Get support from others. That's another very important, we should really focus. Let others people know about the changes you are making. The most important is to engage in, all the activities that have a social component. Thank you.
That's such great information. We hear so much about what stress does to, to the body. So that's really good information. So another question, what type of financial help is out there or support groups? Like I know your association that can help both the person diagnosed and the caregivers.
Right. That's probably the most important part. Now we understood a little bit Alzheimer's and dementia. Now we want to know how can we get the resources? How can we get help? So Alzheimer's is very difficult. However, no one has to face this disease alone. So that's something our agency, Alzheimer's Association, we really provide a very rich resources. We have all the education programs open to the public. Right now is in virtual. Eventually, we're gonna have an in-person program soon, starting June. We have a support groups. We have different kind of support groups. For example, I can name two very popular one. We have this a young caregivers survivors support group. It's in between 20 to 30 years old because they don't want to go to some regular support group to talk about the retirement. So we create those support group, particularly for the young caregivers. We have another one as support group only to the spouse. So in this support group, you only will talk about the spouse topics. So that's a few, we have like more than 15 different programs, support groups as well. The association is available whenever and wherever you need, relying on that information and support. So you can always reach out to our free 24/7 helpline, and that's 800-272-3900. Anytime, any day to receive the information and support. Last week I just had a program, and then one of the attendants say, "I'm sorry, I call your 800 numbers when you couldn't go to sleep. That was at 2 a.m. That's why we want you to reach out to us anytime, 24 hours and 7 days. We also have a master level clinicians are available around the clock to provide a very high level of the consultation, all free of charge care, navigation service offered to families at any stage of this disease. And help is available. If you call, we do have a 200 languages available to interpret for your needs. Alzheimer's is difficult again. However, we don't want anybody face this disease alone. I also gather a few information according to Sherry. You really want to know some other resources, and then I think that's also important. We're only one agency, but we want everybody to work together, find the resources to provide this to one single family. Again, I want to say a big thanks to the leaders of Delta Sigma Theta Sororities, Bronx Alumni chapter. You can always reach out to your members or leaders. The second one I want to mention is the New York Connect. This is a probably very important site. A lot of people don't know. New York Connect is particularly for New Yorkers. You know, that's a trust place to go for free. Unbiased information about long-term service and support in New York State for people of all ages or, you know, with any type of disabilities. Of course, they have a lot of different departments, different teams, but if you do want to reach out New York Connect, the phone number is 1-800-342-9871. And also another great question a lot of people will ask me, especially during the pandemic, they would like to know is any respite care, you know, to help them for take care of their family and their loved one with Alzheimer's disease. So there's a one as office for the agent. They do have a short-term respite care. And this is because the guidance is very complicated. I do know they help family caregivers providing care for individuals age 60 or older. Another good one is the family caregivers providing care for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related disorders, regardless of the age. So please reach out to this. Let me get the phone number for you. I think it's the same number, I'm sorry, 800-342-9871. If you do want to join their website, the respite is agent, NYGOV/respite. Okay, so this is a very important as a New Yorkers. We want to know there's a lot of agencies created from the health department from New York State. They're here to help us too. So thank you, Sharon. This is a very good question, most important one.
Thank you so much. You shared such great information with us that we will share with the community on such an important topic, and you gave great information. Thank you so much for giving us all the resources. We will certainly share this with the community as well. Any final thoughts or things you want to share with us?
I think, thank you for inviting my team and, you know, from Alzheimer's Association New York City chapters. We all here to help. I really want to emphasize, please don't take care of your loved one alone. There's a lot of resources out there to help. We have education programs, we have support groups. Please reach out to our helpline 800-2723900. You can join the website too, www.alz.org. And thank you for this wonderful interview, and all of the questions are excellent questions. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, and thank everyone for joining Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Bronx Alumni Chapter Delta Days in the Bronx. Thank you all. Thank you again, Wanli.